watching the South Texas News Leader. This is continuing election coverage from 3 News.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Rudy Trevino.
And I'm Leslie Adamy. Well, tonight, election night for the Texas primaries. It has been a big one for the Lone Star states. And polls officially closed just a short time ago, right at 7. And we're already starting to get results in from those early voting numbers. So let's go ahead and give you a look at what all we are seeing. So we're going to begin with this graphic showing the race for governor regarding the Democratic candidates. Of course, Beto O'Rourke in the lead there.
And we take a look now at the Republican side coming up next here on this next slide that we've got for you. This one right here showing, of course, the true leader here at 69%. Greg Abbott getting the lion's share of the numbers there. We knew that was going to be happening. Don Hoffines trailing with 12%, and then the rest below that, of course. The next race that we've got set up for you here so you can take a look at the numbers that are coming in so far.
Attorney General, I believe, we'll have next. Let's take a look. There we go. So some of the Democratic candidates who were vying for that race, again, for Attorney General there. Rochelle Garza with 49% of the votes. And some of the other Democratic candidates also there, their results.
In the Attorney General race on the Republican side, we've got the incumbent, Ken Paxton. Okay, he has 44%, despite all the problems that he's had. That we talked about here in our newscast before, is that he has got those numbers right now.
Yeah, and this is in this race, there's obviously a lot of some very big statewide races going on in the Texas primaries this time around. But this one, a lot of eyes on this. You got George P. Bush and Eva Guzman, just 20% of the votes there. And yeah, again, Republican results there for Attorney General. So we're going to be bringing you those results as they continue to come in throughout the night tonight. But now we want to go ahead and toss things over to the Texas State Aquarium. The reason being, that is where incumbent Governor Greg Abbott is hosting his watch party. That's right.
We've got Mike Gillespie standing by to tell us about what's happening out there right now. I guess we've got a lot of folks there behind you now. Mike, right?
Hey, Rudy. Hey, Leslie. Yeah, folks are starting to trickle in here. Most of them, though, staying inside the aquarium. Obviously, we're outside, and I will tell you, it is a cool night along the Texas coast. But boy, you couldn't ask for a better backdrop where you have the Texas flag and USS Lexington behind us, and of course, right here on the water. If you know anything about the aquarium, we're not far from where the otters usually play, but there's none of that happening tonight. A lot of folks are here to support Governor Abbott in what they are expecting to be a victory party. And you guys were looking at some of the numbers, the very early numbers that are coming in, and boy, those numbers are about what the campaign here expected. They were confident. Now, some of the folks who were going against Governor Abbott and really hoping to kind of get that nomination for the Republican Party never seemed to catch much traction with their message. We're talking about Allen West. We're talking about Mr. Huffines, both very knowledgeable people, both having served in political office. And for a while there, they were kind of combining their messages, trying to say that Governor Abbott is just not conservative enough to be the Republican leader of our state. But again, that didn't catch traction, and the numbers tonight are showing that voters, at least here on the Republican side, seem to have confidence in the governor, and they expect very much, as the campaign does, that he's going to be the nominee and that he will face off in the general election in November with Beto O'Rourke. Now tonight, as I said, we expect to see some more folks coming in here. I think they were supposed to open the doors at around 7:30 or so. We saw some folks here earlier. There is a concert that's scheduled for later on tonight. Between now and then, the governor is expected to speak. And so as soon as that happens, we're going to go ahead and carry that, and we'll bring that to you live and hear what the governor has to say. Again, they are very confident in what they're doing here tonight. And you heard that even in the governor during the campaign, where he was looking ahead really to his likely opponent, from the Democratic side, Beto O'Rourke. So that's a theme that they're going to continue, and we expect to hear a lot of that tonight. But anyway, we're going to take it back to you in the studio for now, and we're going to keep you updated throughout the evening here, and kind of let you know if anything changes, but I think it'll be about what we're all expecting as we see the governor proclaiming victory tonight. Mike Gillespie reporting live from the Texas State Aquarium. Back to you.
All right, Mike, thank you so much. Yeah, we're going to be continuing our coverage across the state. Democratic candidate Beto O'Rourke held his watch party in North Texas, and that's where we find reporter Anastasia Bolton seeing those results come in and what O'Rourke's long-term plans and goals are, looking ahead now to November.
Feeling confident and ready for battle. That is the latest from Beto O'Rourke's people. Beto, of course, is going to be here tonight in Fort Worth, where we are today, for a rally. He is a favorite to win in tonight's primary and then go on to face Governor Greg Abbott in the general election for the governor's seat. Texas has not had a Democrat in the governor's position for 27 years. One political expert tells us it is possible, even though the gap right now in polling between Abbott and Beto is about 9 points. We'll have many more reports from Fort Worth as the rally kicks off and hear from Beto himself coming up. I'm Anastasia Bolton. Back to you.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Now, here locally, one other race that we are keeping very close eye on is the race for County Commissioner Precinct 2, being held by incumbent County Commissioner Joe Gonzalez.
Yeah, you can see they're leading with 59% of the votes, followed by Sina Claridge Montoya with 31%, and then, of course, Gerald G. Garza with 10% of the votes. Again, this is for Nueces County Commissioner Precinct 2, one of the local races that we are watching. And we're talking a lot about the statewide, but also want to make sure that we are touching on what's happening right here at home.
Absolutely. We've got our teams covering the Coastal Bend area. We've got Area 3. We've got our courthouse, as well as all of the places where some of the candidates are holding their own parties and watch parties that are happening right now. We've also got our expert analysis with Dr. Bill Chris, who joins us now to take a look at what he sees so far in the numbers. And what are you seeing there, Doctor?
Well, I think a couple of things we can say is there were no surprises in the governor's race. Governor Abbott has that clearly in control, as Mike Gillespie was saying. But you have to wonder why he's not able to crack the 75% threshold. If he gets less than 70% of the vote in the primary, that might be a little bit of a red flag. The Attorney General's race is going to be a real barn burner all night long. George P. Bush surprised me. He's got surprising strength in the early returns, and Gohmert has so far been lagging behind. Louis Gohmert, the East Texas congressman or former congressman. We'll see if that race changes complexion when returns from East Texas start coming in. But it's a very close race to see in the Attorney General's race who's going to face the incumbent Ken Paxton in the runoff.
And Dr. Chris, we were having this conversation earlier on our newscast at 3 News at 6, the significance of Governor Abbott having his watch party here for the primary here in Corpus Christi. Looking ahead to as we checked in with Anastasia Bolton, of course, the watch party for Beto O'Rourke up in North Texas. Looking ahead to November, I mean, what do you think the fact that he had it in Corpus Christi, does that help or hurt? You had some interesting commentary at 6, I remember.
Yeah, I think that what Abbott's trying to do is solidify his support among a Hispanic voting group that, particularly with the difficulties in voting that have been imposed with respect to identification requirements and restrictions on absentee voting, what the Republican Party in control of the state legislature has done is everything that they can in order to try to Republicanize the Hispanic electorate. And that's not been as successful in the Rio Grande Valley as it has been in places like Nueces County and near South Texas as opposed to far South Texas. And so I think Governor Abbott knows that Nueces County has been trending Republican the last few election cycles. Nueces County was carried by President Donald Trump in 2020, the 2020 election. And so he's trying to pick off as many votes as he can and solidify a base of support in South Texas to try to make a good showing against Beto O'Rourke. If he can beat O'Rourke by 10 points, say, 55 to 44, 56 to 44, 43, that helps his national portfolio if he wants to run for president sometime.
No doubt, but Beto O'Rourke is a force to be reckoned with, as proven in his last run for office. We'll be talking with Dr. Bill Chris in just a few minutes about that when we come back. But we've got so much to cover tonight, Leslie.
That's right. And we're going to be taking a quick break here in just a few moments where we're going to be actually doing a cut-in for ABC, so you can watch us there live on TV. But as for the digital show, we'll be picking it back up just here shortly.
So bear with us.
You're watching the South Texas News Leader. This is continuing election coverage from 3 News.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Rudy Trevino.
And I'm Leslie Adamy. Thank you so much for keeping it right here on ABC as we here at TV3 continue our election night coverage. We're going to be continuing to bring you some election results. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of those now.
This is Nueces County Commissioner Precinct 2. The incumbent, Joe A. Jag Gonzalez, with the majority of the vote there at 59%. Cinia Clarish Montoya coming in with 31%. And we've got Gerald Garza following up. We've got Monica de la Cruz in the U.S. House race for Congress, 15th Congressional District. She has 61% of the vote. Mauro Garza with 15% of the vote.
Followed by Ryan Krause and Sarah Candy. Some of the other candidates there trailing behind in 3%, 2%, and 1% of the votes, again, for U.S. House District 15.
Now, in our next
slide here, I believe we're going to be taking a look
go.
at 20th District. Let's see, what do we have coming up?
There we go, the U.S. House 28th District, Congressional District. We've got Jessica Cisneros with 69%, and the troubled Henry Cuellar, who we remember was investigated by the FBI after they checked out his office and
yeah,
his
we're
home.
going to be continuing to bring you those results right here on TV3. We'll see you soon.
She's a fraud. I've never met anyone.
At WellMed, we've spent over 30 years doing everything humanly possible to care for and protect our senior citizens. If you're on Medicare and have diabetes, cardiovascular disorder, or heart disease, WellMed accepts a Medicare Advantage plan you can enroll in all year. To learn more about WellMed and how we can help you be a healthier you, call 888-781-9355 or go to wellmedhealthcare.com.
J&B Pavelka. We keep your business rolling. We sell and service all types of trucks and trailers, pre-owned and brand new, with top-notch brands like Aspen, Dunan, Globe, Monac, CPS, Wilson, and much more. Browse our stocked inventory full of high-quality equipment and receive reliable service and repairs and staff members eager to help, all at affordable prices. You'll find everything you need in a truck or trailer with J&B Pavelka. We're here to service your equipment. Stop by our Robstown or Houston locations today.
Since 1941, Radiology Associates has offered the most advanced diagnostic imaging available for patients and their physicians in the Coastal Bend. Our subspecialized team of experienced radiologists manage exams and interpret results while working directly with your physician. With most exams scheduled the same or next day, you can be sure our team will provide a fast turnaround while making sure you are as comfortable as possible. Call today to schedule your appointment at one of our 5 convenient locations. Radiology Associates. The choice is clear.
You're watching the South Texas News Leader. This is continuing election coverage from 3 News, sponsored by the Herman & Herman Law Firm, J&B Pavelka Truck and Trailer Sales, WellMed Medical Group, and Radiology Associates.
Hey, welcome back everyone, to all of you guys joining us online and on our apps and streaming services. I'm Leslie Adamy.
And I'm Rudy Trevino. So glad you could join us tonight. Now, we have been honored with the presence of the governor, who's going to be here. I guess he's already here in Corpus Christi, but he's having a big shindig over at the Texas State Aquarium, and that is where we have our Mike Gillespie, who's been keeping an eye to see if the governor is going to show up anytime soon. Any sign of the governor there, Mike?
No, Rudy, Leslie, we haven't seen him yet, but of course they've got everything set up. They're ready for him. We were promised earlier that it wouldn't be too long after the polls closed that the governor would be here to speak. And so, of course, we, like so many other media outlets who are here tonight at the Texas State Aquarium, are waiting for that to happen. Again, we expect that he's going to be looking toward what's coming up in the general election in November. And this really gives him a chance to do a couple of things, to thank his supporters, many of them who are going to be here in person tonight. We also expect that we might even see some other Texas Republican candidates who are here. And if so, our Bill Churchwell is wandering around, and he's going to get to talk to some of those. But this gives the governor a chance again to say thank you to some of those in person. And also, as Dr. Chris was saying earlier, to kind of solidify some of his support here in South Texas. Now, he's been in the Corpus Christi area quite a bit over about the last month to 6 weeks. And so even though I told you earlier we were a little surprised when we saw that he was going to be holding his watch party here tonight, it really does kind of make sense with the schedule that he's been keeping. One of the things you guys might want to talk about at some point, and certainly that we're wondering about, is the issues that have been brought up during this primary campaign are going to be the same issues that the governor is going to face as you move toward the general election. Again, if Beto O'Rourke does become the candidate, as we expect, who goes against the governor, you can imagine they're going to be talking about changes to the abortion law, to election laws. They'll continue to talk about what's happening at the border. And as always, for those of us in Texas, ERCOT continues to be just a big talker here, in the electrical power grid. So those are some of the things that the governor is going to have to speak on. But again, I don't know that we'll hear any of that tonight. Tonight's going to be about celebrating and about having a party and about moving forward and looking ahead. For now, reporting live from the Texas State Aquarium, Mike Gillespie, back to you.
Thank you, Mike. And of course, as Mike mentioned, those issues are going to be the border. It's going to be ERCOT. It's going to be about abortion. It's going to be about transgender, which is getting a lot of momentum here in South Texas and throughout the state. Those are issues that folks are talking about. Those are issues that Greg Abbott and Beto O'Rourke are going to have to address.
So as we continue to look ahead to November, lots of eyes going to be on this race for sure, not even just in Texas.
That's right.
People outside of the state are keeping an eye on what's going on with this race as well. But anyway, as we know, it's going to be Greg Abbott versus Beto O'Rourke, but those were just some of the results that we saw come in for some of the other Republican candidates. As you heard Mike mention, we also have our Bill Churchwell there at the Texas State Aquarium with some members of the Republican Party for Nueces County. Can we go ahead and check? There he is. Let's check in with him now. Hey there, Bill.
Hey there, good evening on this brisk night here at the Texas State Aquarium, where, as Mike mentioned, you can see the stage is set for the governor this evening as he makes his appearance and gives a speech. Now, this might be the most elaborate watch party that I can recall in recent years, and with good reason. Governor Greg Abbott choosing to spend election night right here at the Texas State Aquarium. And I'm standing here with Miss Barbie Baker. She is the Nueces County Republican chair. Come on over.
Yes,
and
sir.
What does it say for the governor to choose Corpus Christi to spend election night here with us?
It says Corpus Christi is amazing. So, which, obviously it is. That's not hard to determine.
Well, I know that you have a nickname around here, Mama Bear. Is that correct? Why is that?
Yes, I am. I am the Mama Bear chairman of our local Nueces County Republican candidates. They all work so hard. It has just been primaries are just difficult. It's difficult because the individuals that you're running against, and we are just, it's like, they're all your friends.
And of course, we are expecting to hear from the governor this evening. Of course, there were talks before the governor chose Corpus Christi, and it's the perfect backdrop for an event like this. Here at the Texas State Aquarium, you have the USS Lexington in the background.
Right, exactly. So Corpus Christi encompasses everything that is important to Texas. We have our coastline, we have economy, we have our military, we have everything here. And with Hurricane Harvey, it kind of brought Corpus Christi to the forefront, brought the coastal bend to the forefront, and it just has shown how the Coastal Bend community rallies together, and we have just been so appreciative of Governor Abbott's support at the state level and rallying for federal support for all the different things that are going on here.
I know we have a number of people who are here this evening, guests from, I even heard San Antonio. So people are coming from out of town to attend this event this evening, and we also have a lot of the candidates who will be here as well.
Yes. Our Republican candidates, again, are absolutely phenomenal. It is all about the big picture, and so we are blessed, and they're very excited to be here.
Thank you so much for your time, and we'll of course check back in with you. Reporting live tonight on Bill Churchwell. Now back to you.
All right, Bill, thank you so much. What the
Lots
venue?
of folks there. Yeah, there's a big venue there with folks coming in from all over the state. You just heard Bill. But the Democrats on the other side of town are also having their party and get together. For that, we've got Mariah Gallegos standing by live to tell us about what's going on there at the Nueces County Courthouse.
Hey, Rudy and Leslie, that's right. We're here at the Nueces County Courthouse, and actually, we've got results coming in. I want to give you a quick look behind me real quick. They are bringing these results in. It's a very smooth process. I was talking with Kara Sands actually earlier. She's the head of the elections department here, and she was telling me this is something that they've been working on over the years, really improving. And actually this year, she says that they're beating their own numbers. This year, they were able to get those early votes accounted for by 7:03, I believe is what she said, which is something that, again, they're just beating their own goals. And now I'm going to toss it over to, as you said, we're covering the Nueces County Democratic Party tonight. I'm joined here with Joseph Ramirez. Joseph, you are the political director of the Democratic Party here in Nueces County. I want to ask you, what have been the strategies that your team has been focusing on over the last year preparing for this election cycle to hopefully improve the voter turnout among Democrats?
Well, a lot of it starts off with educating the voter, especially with all the new laws that have come out, with working the polls, with candidates, with voters, with everything else that's going on. We also focused in on some of the colleges had their young Democrat clubs, and of course, that's who will come out and vote early. And we worked hard to get polling places open at those locations. You know, unfortunately with COVID, a lot of the kids went home over the last year, so we're kind of having to rebuild that from the ground up. Another thing is getting on the phones and talking to our voters that were used to certain procedures, especially when it comes to the mail-in ballots, and letting them know what the new procedures are and, you know, how to get what they needed.
And a lot of races going on tonight. I was looking at them earlier. We've got a lot of Democratic nominees in there. Any races that you're watching, particularly for yourself tonight? Anything that you're interested in seeing the results of?
Well, you know, we have a new state Senate seat that was drawn into Nueces County that starts off in Cameron, comes in through Clayburgh, San Patricio, Nueces, Beeville, which is in our viewing area here. So that's a very exciting race, both on the Democratic and the Republican side. And right now it looks like Morgan Lamantilla is in the lead on the Democratic side. Last I saw before we came on air, Adam Hinojosa on the Republican side was in the lead. So that's going to be a very good race. As far as locally here, you know, we've got, there was some vacancies at the on the courts. And for example, the 117th, it looks like Selena Lopez Leon has come out on top on that race in the early voting. Now, like you said, we're still getting the election day results are being brought in right now. So about another hour and a half, we should have everything to look at.
Definitely. And then you were saying earlier about getting those young voters out there, you know, in previous years before, and we were looking at the numbers earlier today, sometimes it's hard to get the Democratic voters out there, not only in early voting, but today, even on election day. But, you know, I see a lot of people my own age and younger people on social media and things of that sort. Is that something that you guys have turned to hopefully get them out there? Yeah,
well, we've got a team over at the Texas Democratic Party that's kind of focusing in on that. But the fact that you have Beto O'Rourke, kind of, he's a rock star politician with, you know, people 30 and under. And he really activated him last time when he ran for Senate. And he came, you know, very, very close to defeating Ted Cruz. This time he's got more momentum. He's within single digits in the polling right now. We'll see how it ends, you know, tomorrow. Of course, everything starts all over again tomorrow, which will probably be Greg Abbott and Beto O'Rourke in the governor's race.
And one of the races that we are particularly also watching for here locally, you know, we want to emphasize our local races as well. Eyes are here on Nueces County, is the congressman race against Cloud, the current incumbent. What have you guys been doing to hopefully motivate those within the Democratic Party for that, but also to get them ready for the results to come tonight? Well,
you know, that's a very interesting race because that's one of the race, that specific seat for many years has been ruled unconstitutional because of the way it was drawn. It was specifically drawn to take away or siphon away the Hispanic vote. So even, you know, the Democrat that's in the lead right now is Macolovio Perez, who is well known here in South Texas. But, you know, when you're going in a 14-plus Republican precinct or congressional district, it's going to be very hard. It's not impossible. It's going to be very hard, and it's going to be a challenge to whoever does make it to go against them to say, hey, this is what's going on in Washington. It's screwed up, and this is how we want to fix it, and to get the people to listen to those issues rather than just, you know, all the drama that goes on in Washington. That's what they tend to run on, rather, you know, versus the actual issues or actual policy.
Definitely. Well, it'll be a challenge for all of those in the races tonight. I know they're all probably looking forward to what the results will be. Again, we're live here at Nueces County Courthouse. Thank you so much, Joseph, for talking with me. Again, a quick look behind us. We've got those results coming in, you guys. We'll have an update for you here shortly, sending it back to you guys in studio.
All right, Mariah, thank you so much. Certainly a busy scene there over at the Nueces County Courthouse. Really quick, I remembered from Bill's report at our 10 o'clock last night that a new feature with this Texas primary is a live feed being provided by the Nueces County Courthouse of ballot processing. We know we have talked a lot about election integrity, voting rights. That was a big issue in the Texas legislature, and we're seeing that come to play. So if you want to see that in real time, there's
It's
a live
happening
stream
now.
on the Nueces County website.
Exactly. That was something that Kara Sands said she was going to do, and she made it happen to actually show the folks back there counting the ballots live. And if you want to see how it's done, it's a great time to check it out. This is where you see your vote actually being counted. And what's happening right now at the courthouse is something that I experienced over my 20 years here at Channel 3.
Yeah.
Where right now, this is where the numbers are coming in, when you're seeing these boxes rolling in from throughout the county. And it is time consuming. When all of the polls close, the judges there have to lock up the boxes, put them in their vehicles, and then bring them down to the courthouse. And the process then starts where you actually start counting. You plug those boxes onto a system that actually tabulates them, and in a matter of minutes, each box is counted. So it's very interesting how the process works, but you can actually see it happening right now if you go to their website.
Yeah.
It is over at the Nueces County website.
That's right, that live stream. Hey, as we've been checking in with our TV3 political expert, Dr. Bill Christ, throughout the night tonight. And Dr. Christ, you saw those live shots, with Mike Gillespie and Bill Churchwell over at the Texas State Aquarium, ahead of Governor Abbott prepared to speak. We checked in with Mariah over at the courthouse, and if anyone got a chance to see, we showed a live picture of Beto O'Rourke speaking at his watch party, which again is in North Texas. So just kind of some commentary on what you are seeing tonight. I know you have results coming in on your computer over there as well.
Yeah, we're watching that. We're watching all the statewide and district races. Locally, it looks like the really hotly contested races are pretty well out of reach, even though we only have the early vote in the Democratic primary. That's more than half the vote. In the Republican primary, it's roughly half the vote. So if you have a substantial lead in the early vote, it's very hard to overcome. So as the Democratic Party official was saying, Selena Lopez Leon looks like the Democratic nominee for the 117th court, and Melissa Madrigal looks like the Democratic nominee for the County Court at Law Number 1. Those were hotly contested primary races. And on the Republican side, it looks like Susan Barkley has defeated Bill Kelly on the Republican side for the nomination for the 117th District Court. But I'm really focused more on these statewide races, not because I think Texas is a purple state or is in play in any significant way between the Democrats and the Republicans, but because I'm interested in, more than anything else, in what's going on the Republican side. Beto O'Rourke, as we heard, clearly is a sort of rock star politician among younger voters, and he's very popular among Democratic voters. The problem O'Rourke's going to have is reaching beyond Democratic primary voters and attracting independent voters. And Governor Abbott has, as I've said in previous breaks, Governor Abbott has a massive war chest, perhaps bigger than any other elected official in the United States. And he's going to use that war chest to just bludgeon Beto O'Rourke with previous statements that O'Rourke has made about policy positions that are unpopular in Texas, like pro-choice, like gun control. And O'Rourke's going to have a lot of explaining to do, and he's a very deft politician. He may be able to do it, but you got to say that Abbott is the clear favorite in the governor's race. The most interesting races tonight, I think, are the race for Attorney General on the Republican side and the race for Railroad Commissioner on the Republican side. These bear very close watching, because on the Attorney General side, what you have is the incumbent Ken Paxton, who's had all kinds of legal troubles. He's been accused of all kinds of scandalous behavior by his opponents. None of that's actually stuck yet. And you have this incredible dogfight for second place between Eva Guzman, who's a former Texas Supreme Court Justice, and George P. Bush, who's our current land commissioner. And the second place in that race has just gone back and forth between Guzman and Bush. And the reason that that's interesting is because you can tell that their internal polling is pretty accurate, because when they had a debate between the Republican Attorney General candidates just last week, all of the statements by Guzman and Bush were attacking each other. And it's clear that they knew that Paxton had the lead and that it was going to be a fight between the two of them to see who got to face off against him in the runoff. And that may or may not be important, because Paxton may win anyway. On the Railroad Commission side, you have the incumbent, Wayne Christian, who's got about 40% of the vote and is easily in first place. But there's another 3 or 4 way dogfight in connection with who's going to get in the runoff against him. Now, these results that you're looking at right here indicate that he's got 50% of the vote, but I would not expect that to hold. I think there's so many candidates in that race. There are 4 other candidates in that race, and the one that's gained the most notoriety is Sarah Stogner, who describes herself as a unicorn lawyer, who's a very intelligent lawyer with oil and gas experience from West Texas, who has something like 70,000 followers on Twitter, and is using a lot of social media and internet resources to garner support in the Republican primary. And so and she's a very interesting, almost Beto-like, star quality type celebrity candidate. And so if she is the one who gets in the runoff against the incumbent Christian, you can expect a really high profile race with lots of drama, some real spice.
Getting back to the Attorney General race, though, Ken Paxton at 44% right now. Is he going to be able to beat out the 50+1% to not have to be in a runoff?
It's very hard to make those kind of calculations. When you have runoffs, you're always wondering, well, if I total up all of the votes of the people against the incumbent, isn't that more than enough to beat him or her? Do endorsements matter? I mean, what if Gohmert were to come out and say, well, in a race between Paxton and Bush or Paxton and Guzman, I'm going to support Paxton. Does his 15% automatically go to Paxton? And the answer is we just don't know, because the electorate in runoffs is a different group of human beings than the electorate that votes in the primary election. In fact, you don't even have to vote in the primary election to vote in the runoff. And this is a race where you could very easily see a bunch of people who voted in neither primary jumping into the runoff to vote either for or against, probably more likely against Paxton. And that could make a difference. And so Guzman is showing surprising strength. Bush is showing strength beyond that which I expected from him. And Gohmert is exhibiting more weakness than I expected to see. I really thought he would probably come in second in this race, and he may still do that because we don't know where all the votes are that are not in. You still got 77% of the vote that's not counted. So these are I think these state races are the really, really interesting races to watch.
All right, Dr. Chris, and then before we go to a break, of course, we do have the State of the Union happening right now, President Biden's first, and I know you mentioned that you want to focus on the statewide races, especially since we are talking about the Texas primary, and we're going to talk about that. But while we have you here, of course, we want to also talk about your thoughts going into the President's first State of the Union address tonight. Obviously, it's happening amid an international crisis with what we are seeing in Ukraine. So what do you think he's going to touch on all tonight? Again, that is happening right now on ABC.
Well, he's obviously going to have to foreground American foreign policy, and specifically American foreign policy vis-a-vis the Russians and our position and what we're going to do with respect to the crisis that's in the Ukraine. I think what this illustrates in terms of domestic politics is two things. One of which I've been saying literally for decades, which is people ask me, they say, well, you're supposed to be an expert. Tell me what you think is going to happen in the next election, or which is a year off or 2 years off. And the answer is we just don't know. And the reason we don't know is because world events travel at their own pace. They have their own rail that they ride upon, and they can completely change the complexion of the domestic political scene. And in this situation, given former President Trump's closeness with Vladimir Putin, his refusal to condemn Russian actions in the Ukraine, the domestic political fallout from what's going on right now could be very significant in the Republican Party and with respect to the race for the presidency on the Republican side. And it may also help Biden quite a bit.
And as you mentioned, come November, all bets are off. It could be a toss-up. We could find out who's going to take the big prize, because things could change in November.
Right. A lot can happen between now and November.
Absolutely.
Well, Dr. Chris, we appreciate, as always, your analysis and expertise, especially on nights like tonight. And we're going to be continuing to check in with him and our live reporters out in the field throughout the night tonight on this digital show, which again, airing through 9:30. But again, if you want to tune into ABC, we are carrying the State of the Union address live there as well.
For now, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
At WellMed, we've spent over 30 years doing everything humanly possible to care for and protect our senior citizens. If you're on Medicare and have diabetes, cardiovascular disorder, or heart disease, WellMed accepts a Medicare Advantage plan you can enroll in all year. To learn more about WellMed and how we can help you be a healthier you, call 888-781-9355 or go to wellmedhealthcare.com.
J&B Pavelka, we keep your business rolling. We sell and service all types of trucks and trailers, pre-owned and brand new, with top-notch brands like Aspen, Dunan, Globe, Monac, CPS, Wilson, and much more. Browse our stocked inventory full of high-quality equipment and receive reliable service and repairs, and staff members eager to help, all at affordable prices. You'll find everything you need in a truck or trailer with J&B Pavelka. We're here to service your equipment. Stop by our Robstown or Houston locations today.
Since 1941, Radiology Associates has offered the most advanced diagnostic imaging available for patients and their physicians in the Coastal Bend. Our subspecialized team of experienced radiologists manage exams and interpret results while working directly with your physician. With most exams scheduled the same or next day, you can be sure our team will provide a fast turnaround while making sure you are as comfortable as possible. Call today to schedule your appointment at one of our 5 convenient locations. Radiology Associates. The choice is clear.
I went to other firms. They didn't help me. I came to Herman & Herman. The young lady that helped us was on her game, and we had our money in our hands before you knew it. You know, where other attorneys didn't help you, Herman & Herman said, come on in, we got you. And let's get one thing straight. Herman & Herman's not scared of anybody. Trust me, they went after him, and they got him quickly.
This is continuing election coverage from 3 News. Streaming 3 News election coverage is sponsored by the Herman & Herman Law Firm, J&B Pavelka Truck and Trailer Sales, WellMed Medical Group, and Radiology Associates.
Welcome back to our 3 News coverage of election night. Many of these races have already been decided tonight. Beto O'Rourke will be the Democratic nominee for governor. Greg Abbott, of course, will be the Republican nominee.
Yeah, and we kind of already knew this going into it, but those results finalized, made official just moments ago. Of course, as we've been mentioning, we have the governor, the incumbent, the governor's watch party happening at the Texas State Aquarium. Also at the Texas State Aquarium, many other Republican officials and members of our Nueces County Republican Party. Our Bill Churchwell is there, and he actually has an interview with Connie Scott. She and Barbara Canales will be facing off in November for the position of Nueces County judge. Of course, Barbara Canales, the incumbent in this race. But Bill, I see you have Connie Scott there. So yeah, what have you guys been seeing out there tonight?
Good evening. Yeah, we're just kind of enjoying the party tonight. Of course, I'm standing here with Connie Scott, and you were, of course, unopposed during this election today. But again, we're just kind of enjoying the night breeze, right?
The little chilly weather, yes.
How did you spend today?
I went around to several of the polling locations, held up signs. I thought it was important, even though I didn't have an opponent, to get out there just to energize people to take up their right and to get out and vote. And it was a beautiful day. It was a great day to be out there. I enjoyed it, got lots of honks and waves. It was just fun.
And of course, we did see you in office for State Rep District 34 back in, it was quite some time ago.
2011.
2011. What have you been up to?
At least, yes.
Yeah.
I kind of went home and just played grandma and mom and wife to my husband. We did some traveling. We enjoyed some time away, and now here I am back.
And of course, you're going to be going up against Barbara Canales in November. What will you be doing to kind of prepare for November?
Well, we're getting back to the basics first. You know, being away and out of office, I am really having to make up for lost time and get back out and meet and talk to people. Going away and becoming grandma did not help me in running for a race, but we're excited to be out here, and I've gotten great response. I've met lots of people that I hadn't caught up with in a long time, and everybody's really excited. We're excited to be here tonight. The governor coming to Corpus Christi for this.
I was going to say, what does it mean to have the governor here in Corpus Christi on a night like this?
It's amazing. We're just excited to be here and join in the party.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate that, and enjoy the rest of your evening here. That is the very latest here live. I'm Bill Churchwell. Now back to you.
All right, thank you, Bill. And of course, we have been keeping a close eye on our local races as well. We've got Dr. Bill Chris, our political analyst, with us right now to talk to us about what he sees in the numbers for some of our local races. Doctor?
Well, it's going to be an interesting race between Connie Scott and Barbara Canales for the county judges race. And it's an interesting kind of combination of headwinds because Barbara Canales is the incumbent, which offers you a tremendous advantage. But the headwinds in Nueces County have been blowing on the Republican side, and that's why they fielded Connie Scott as a candidate. That's why Connie Scott is running, is because the numbers are very close between the Democrats and the Republicans in sort of unidentified, impersonal party identification type situations. And of course, when you have a non-presidential year, which we have now in 2022, you just don't know what the electorate's going to look like, who's going to vote. And so it's going to be a really hard fought and really interesting race. I don't know, I would be surprised if there weren't some negative campaigning involved. Unfortunately, most people don't like negative campaigning, but the political bosses will tell you that it seems to work. In the courthouse races, which are of interest, of course, to everybody, including lawyers like myself, again, we don't have the final returns yet, but it's very hard to overcome a significant deficit in the early voting. And in the early voting, Susan Barkley has a significant lead over former City Council member Bill Kelly in the Republican nomination for the 117th District Court. That's a court that historically we used to refer to as the Blackmun Court because it was presided over by Judge Jack Blackmun, who was former city mayor back in the 1960s, and he presided over that court in the 70s and 80s, and then was succeeded by his son, Judge Robert Blackmun, who just recently passed away, as the 117th Court. And then that court became the Watts Court. Sandy Watts, who was a prominent family lawyer in Corpus Christi, was elected to that court many years ago and served with distinction there for a number of years. And then that court is open because Judge Watts decided to retire. And so there will be a hard-fought Republican versus Democrat race there where Susan Barkley will be, in all likelihood, the Republican nominee. She's the current domestic court or family court master. And on the Democratic side, in the 117th District Court race, the candidate will be Selena Lopez Leon. And then in the County Court at Law number 1 race, where Judge Robert Vargas, who again served with distinction for decades as the judge of that court, succeeded Judge Robert Blackmun when he was a county court judge. That court was vacant because Judge Vargas retired, and there the Republican nominee was unopposed. And it appears that Melissa Madrigal has a significant lead over Cassie Bonilla as the Democratic nominee for that County Court at Law number 1 spot. So we can look forward to at least 3, probably more, very hotly contested courthouse races, including the county judge race between Canales and Scott, and the 117th District Court and the County Court at Law number 1 race. Those will all be very hotly contested, and especially given that it's not a presidential year and turnout is likely to be depressed, the Republicans will have a very good chance in all 3 races.
All right, Dr. Chris, thank you so much. And you know, you just mentioned Selena Lopez Leon, and I believe that we have an interview with her live with our Mariah Gallegos standing by over at the Nueces County Courthouse. Mariah, can you hear us?
I can hear you, Leslie. Can you hear me?
Yes, you are good to go.
I'm here with Selena Lopez Leon. Perfect. All right, I'm here with Selena Lopez Leon. We were just talking about her. They were just talking about you. She is running for the 117th District Court, and she is, we have the results coming in, and they're coming in your favor tonight. Selena, how are you feeling so far?
I feel good. I'm very blessed and thankful. Of course, we're still waiting for the total results to come in to see the final numbers. So, of course, we're not counting our chickens before they hatch. It's been a good race, good run. I want to thank all. I've got some family here, my parents, my mother-in-law, my girlfriend and her daughter. My husband's holding down the fort with a bunch of our volunteers and supporters over at Surf Club. So if you guys want to go out safely, of course, come by, and we'll be there hanging out, waiting, hoping for a good outcome. But I'm just very, very grateful to be here and be able to run for this position, and it means the world to me, and I couldn't be more thankful.
Now, if you don't mind me asking, what sort of motivated you to join this race and run this year?
I've always wanted to do this. Once I became a lawyer, I knew that this was my calling. I have a passion for justice. I have a passion for helping people, especially my community. And I feel like this is kind of the perfect fit and way for me to give back and utilize my gifts that God has given me to do good things here, to do right by the people, to give to my community, because that's what this is about. It's not about me, it's about us, it's about Nueces County.
Definitely. Now, any sort of, I want to say, morals, ethics, or things that you feel good about taking into the courtroom, should this path lead you there?
Yeah, absolutely. I've said kind of from the get-go, this is my first time in politics, and I'm not really, I haven't been a political person, and part of that for me is because as a judge, you're nonpartisan. You are unbiased. You have to treat everybody the same and go on the rules and the law, and that's what I intend to do. Absolutely, 100%.
Now, you guys will be standing by here at the courthouse as these results come in. Are you going to be here, or are you going to hop off to Surf Club early?
I don't know. We may be in and out. It'll probably be mainly me here, my volunteers and everyone. I want them to hang out and relax, and so they'll probably stay over there for a little while. But we'll see. We'll be anxiously waiting, see what the end game is and the end result.
And we have Dad here, Mom here, who are supporting here behind her. How are you guys feeling tonight? I hate to put you on the spot, but I know you're proud.
Very proud of her, and she's always been a leader, and we're not surprised.
Well, we're just praying that it all comes out the way we're hoping, and that the community come together, because when people run for office that have their heart in it, that benefits everybody, and I think that with Selena, that's the case.
Now, Selena, what's your plan moving forward? Should tonight's results go in your favor or not in your favor? What's your plan in the days to come?
One of the great things about the campaign process for me has been getting to meet so many people and go to events and go to things. And I had already decided that no matter what was going to happen, I was going to continue to be involved in the community. I've got an event set up tomorrow where I'm going to go read to little kids at an elementary school. I've got stuff for this weekend. I'm going to keep going. No matter what happens, I love my community, and I'm going to be out there and continue to give back. And I want to thank all my voters. Thank you so much for supporting me, all my volunteers, everyone. Again, my husband, who's not here, but at the other location, and my family, my mother-in-law, everybody.
Perfect. Again, Selena Lopez, who is tonight hoping for the best in the 107th District Court Democratic Party for her. Thank you so much, Selena. I appreciate that. And we're wishing the best to all of those who are following the races tonight. Again, we're reporting live at the Nueces County Courthouse, sending it back to you guys in studio. Leslie, Rudy.
All right, Mariah. Very good. And you saw behind the party there, those yellow boxes that are coming up behind. Those are the election boxes.
Right, yeah.
When you go and you vote, and they're tabulated there right behind where Mariah was. And then they add the numbers, and you see those numbers down on your screen. That's where they start adding up.
Exactly. And as we were mentioning earlier, you could actually see a live stream of all of the ballot processing, at least for Nueces County. That is on their website for you to check out. But Mariah, thank you again for getting that interview with Selena Lopez Leon. It's always cool when you can get the parents, involved, no matter what it is you do. Yeah. It's always really cool. Hey, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to be taking a closer look at that race for Texas Attorney General. We'll be right back.
J&B Pavelka, we keep your business rolling. We sell and service all types of trucks and trailers, pre-owned and brand new, with top-notch brands like Aspen, Dunan, Globe, Monac, CPS, Wilson, and much more. Browse our stocked inventory full of high-quality equipment and receive reliable service and repairs, and staff members eager to help, all at affordable prices. You'll find everything you need in a truck or trailer with J&B Pavelka. We're here to service your equipment. Stop by our Robstown or Houston locations today.
Since 1941, Radiology Associates has offered the most advanced diagnostic imaging available for patients and their physicians in the Coastal Bend. Our subspecialized team of experienced radiologists manage exams and interpret results while working directly with your physician. With most exams scheduled the same or next day, you can be sure our team will provide a fast turnaround while making sure you are as comfortable as possible. Call today to schedule your appointment at one of our 5 convenient locations. Radiology Associates. The choice is clear.
At WellMed, we've spent over 30 years doing everything humanly possible to care for and protect our senior citizens. If you're on Medicare and have diabetes, cardiovascular disorder, or heart disease, WellMed accepts a Medicare Advantage plan you can enroll in all year. To learn more about WellMed and how we can help you be a healthier you, call 888-781-9355 or go to wellmedhealthcare.com.
You're watching the South Texas News Leader. This is continuing election coverage from 3 News, sponsored by the Herman & Herman Law Firm, J&B Pavelka Truck and Trailer Sales, WellMed Medical Group, and Radiology Associates.
Hey everybody, welcome back and thanks for staying with us online and on all of your streaming services as we continue with tonight's primary election day.
That's
here in
right.
Texas.
The polls have been closed for about an hour and 24 minutes, and already we're getting some good numbers coming in here in Nueces County. They are bringing them in. We are seeing those boxes being brought in to the Nueces County Courthouse, and as soon as they tabulate them, you're going to see those numbers right there.
Exactly, and we have them online at our website for you as well. A race that we've been looking at a lot tonight, that for Texas Attorney General, the incumbent, of course, Ken Paxton, leading there with 42% of the votes. Of course, he would need more than 50 to avoid a runoff, and we are seeing behind him Eva Guzman with 21%, George P. Bush with 21%, and then Louis Gohmert with 16%. Again, these are all Republican candidates. And what we've also been seeing throughout the night, George P. Bush and Eva Guzman kind of flip-flopping back, but it has kind of stayed right there in that 20-21% region. But right now, we're going to go to a report out of the Dallas area by reporter Alex Rozier he is at the watch party for incumbent Ken Paxton. We'll go ahead and take a look at that right now.
The Attorney General is hosting a watch party alongside his wife, State Senator Angela Paxton. And the big question is, will the AG get to 50% of the vote, which will avoid a runoff in May? He's got a number of big name opponents, including George P. Bush, the outgoing land commissioner, who is obviously from the presidential family. Also, Eva Guzman, a Houston Republican who sat on the Texas Supreme Court, and Louis Gohmert, an outgoing congressman from the Tyler area. And one thing to point out is that a couple of polls, one from the University of Texas, showed that Paxton was polling about 47%. A University of Houston poll showed him at about 44%. So will he get to that 50% number to avoid a runoff in May? We'll get that answer tonight. We'll be here at his watch party. In McKinney, I'm Alex Rozier.
And if Paxton doesn't get the 50%, chances are he's going to be running up against Eva Guzman or George P. Bush, right? So we've got a report on George Bush.
Yeah, that's right.
Right now he's having a party up it's either in Austin or Dallas, one of those places.
Yeah, we have Tony Plahetsky with that report. Let's take a look at that now.
I'm Tony Plahetsky in Austin. A big question for tonight is whether or not embattled Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton will face a runoff. He's got 3 opponents. They include former Texas Supreme Court Justice Eva Guzman, former East Texas Congressman Louis Gohmert, and George P. Bush, Texas Land Commissioner, who is from a political dynasty. Tonight's race is also seen as a test of the endorsement of former President Donald Trump, who has called for Paxton to be reelected. We'll keep you posted from here in Austin throughout the evening. Back to you.
So it's that very tight race right there between Eva Guzman and George P. So, Dr. Chris, you have been keeping tabs on this. You thought about this. You kind of predicted that it would be back and forth. What do you think? 21% each? Your thoughts?
It looks very much like it looks very much like we're heading for a recount in that race between Guzman and Bush. If you look at the spread between them, it's less than 5,000 votes out of something like over 500, well, almost 1 million votes cast. So 5,000 votes out of almost 1 million votes cast is less than significantly less than 1%. It's about half of 1%. And it doesn't look like either one of them is going to body slam the other. So one might pull ahead of the other at some point. But the most surprising thing about this race to me is the weakness of Louis Gohmert. He's been kind of hovering around that 14, 15, 16% mark all night long. I kept waiting for East Texas votes to come in that might. I think Gohmert looks like he's out of it, and it's almost certain that Paxton will face a runoff. and when he faces that runoff, that is likely to be the dirtiest campaign in recent Texas history, because he has got mud to sling at both Guzman and Bush, and they certainly have mud to sling at him. There have already been ads run against Guzman claiming that she supports critical race theory. There have been, obviously, Bush has been very controversial in connection with his land commissioner duties and the refurbishing or repurposing of the Alamo that he's been in charge of. That's been very controversial, especially in right-wing circles. And so that's going to be, whichever one of them makes it in the runoff against Paxton, that is going to be a real old-fashioned Texas political knife fight. It's interesting to me that the Bush name is only worth about 20% of the vote in the Republican primary in Texas anymore. You would expect the name George Bush, since that's the name that 2 Republican presidents from Texas have, you would expect that name to be worth a little more.
You would think, right? In the meantime, we have got the big night event happening over at the Texas State Aquarium, where we've got our Mike Gillespie, who has been patiently waiting for the governor to show up.
Yeah, and Mike, I know the last few times that we've checked in with you, we have no sign of the governor just yet, but clearly I know this is a pretty big venue. I know our Bill Churchwell is there as well, so I know that there is activity happening there, but from where you are, what are you seeing?
Well, Rudy, Leslie, we're in a pretty stationary position here, and so what we see is about what you see behind us here. Most of the folks who are here already tonight have been staying up in the Texas State Aquarium for a couple of reasons. Number one, that's where the food is, but also because it's a lot warmer up there. We have seen signs, though, of people stirring here within the last few moments and coming on down, so we have to think that probably means that at some point here pretty soon we're going to hear from Governor Abbott. Now, not a lot of suspense here. You guys have been talking about some close races there, and of course, with the announcement that it will be Governor Abbott facing off against Democrat Beto O'Rourke come November, as most people expected, that's probably where sights are going to turn now, and that's where the talk is going to turn. And as Dr. Chris was talking about, you'll remember that Beto O'Rourke knew how to draw a crowd, and more than that, knew how to draw money. In fact, I think if I remember right, he gave, of course, Senator Ted Cruz a pretty good run for his money, and in the process raised some $80 million. Depending on which poll you look at, he could be between 7 and 9 percentage points behind the governor right now in that race. But of course, it is a long time between now and November, and we imagine we're going to hear some of the issues that we've been hearing in the campaign from Beto O'Rourke's side, and of course we're going to hear, you can be assured from Governor Abbott that Beto O'Rourke is not the right guy to run Texas, and the reasons behind that. So we expect that it will be a very spirited campaign and ought to be a fun one to watch. But again, here at the Texas State Aquarium tonight, it is all about declaring victory and listening to the governor as he maybe expounds on some of those themes as he looks to the future. And we're still waiting for him to show up and to share all that with us. There's a big concert planned here that was supposed to originally start at 8:30. Obviously, that has now been pushed off with Texas country music artist Rich O'Toole. That'll happen at some point tonight. But again, right now, everyone waiting for the governor, and we'll certainly let you know when he comes out to speak. For now, though, reporting live from the Texas State Aquarium, Mike Gillespie, back to you.
All right, thank you, Mike. And we've been talking and hearing the term rock star several times tonight. And of course, I'm waiting for the rock star to arrive there at the Republican Party. But also, we're waiting to get a live feed or a report from Dallas, where Beto O'Rourke is also celebrating his night tonight.
Yeah, and we're going to be checking in with all that coverage here shortly. But for right now, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Since 1941, Radiology Associates has offered the most advanced diagnostic imaging available for patients and their physicians in the Coastal Bend. Our subspecialized team of experienced radiologists manage exams and interpret results while working directly with your physician. With most exams scheduled the same or next day, you can be sure our team will provide a fast turnaround while making sure you are as comfortable as possible. Call today to schedule your appointment at one of our 5 convenient locations. Radiology Associates. The choice is clear.
I went to other firms. They didn't help me. I came to Arm & Armin. The young lady that helped us was on her game, and we had our money in our hands before you knew it. You know, where other attorneys didn't help you, Herman & Herman said, come on in, we got you. And let's get one thing straight. Herman & Herman's not scared of anybody. Trust me, they went after him, and they got him quickly.
At WellMed, we've spent over 30 years doing everything humanly possible to care for and protect our senior citizens. If you're on Medicare and have diabetes, cardiovascular disorder, or heart disease, WellMed accepts a Medicare Advantage plan you can enroll in all year. To learn more about WellMed and how we can help you be a healthier you, call 888-781-9355 or go to wellmedhealthcare.com.
J&B Pavelka, we keep your business rolling. We sell and service all types of trucks and trailers, pre-owned and brand new, with top-notch brands like Aspen, Dunan, Globe, Monac, CPS, Wilson, and much more. Browse our stocked inventory full of high-quality equipment and receive reliable service and repairs, and staff members eager to help, all at affordable prices. You'll find everything you need in a truck or trailer with J&B Pavelka. We're here to service your equipment. Stop by our Robstown or Houston locations today.
This is continuing election coverage from 3 News. Streaming 3 News election coverage is sponsored by the Herman & Herman Law Firm, J&B Pavelka Truck and Trailer Sales, WellMed Medical Group, and Radiology Associates.
We've been keeping an eye on several races that are kind of very interesting to us, and we've interviewed some of the folks that are in the race for land commissioner, specifically Jay Clayburgh. Our Michael Gibson spoke to him, and here's what he had to say.
All right, we've got Jay Clayburgh here. You're running for land commissioner. You're in a Democratic primary, and so far you're on top. It is early, but what's going through your mind right now?
Just grateful to everybody that supported us to get to this point, and the team that we've got has been working 16-hour days to get here. So just proud of everything that we've done to this point.
Well, you've been in an election before. What's it like having to wait on these results?
It's very interesting in that you really only get feedback from the endorsements, about 2/3 of the way through the primary cycle. And then now you're waiting on results that are going to come in a matter of hours after spending, 4 to 6 months on an effort. So really all you can do is leave everything on the field. And I feel like we've done that here.
So there's a very good chance that you're going to get into the runoff. I'm not sure if anybody's going to get over 50% here, but if you're in the runoff, are you still happy with that? And what do you do in the runoff to try to convince some of those voters who may have gone for your opponents tonight?
Yeah, I think, we're geared up both from a fundraising standpoint and also from the broad support, whether it's a clean sweep of endorsements from all of the Texas newspapers, to Houndle Democrats and other groups from around the state that have gotten behind us, that we really feel like we've appealed to a broad spectrum of the electorate, and that we can put a team together to win the runoff and get into the general and really be competitive and win in November.
And for some of those people who recognize the name but aren't sure about whether you're connected to the King Reg family, you are in fact connected, and you were born and raised here.
That's right. Grew up there. My parents still live there, worked and went to school there as a kid, and still go back. And really part of all of what I've been doing for the last 20 years is an expression and honor of that heritage of the King Ranch, and want to continue to do that and really think about conservation and this particular job in terms of generations and not in election cycles. So really want to take that perspective to the Land Commissioner office.
All right, I appreciate it. That was Jay Clayburgh, who is in the running for Land Commissioner tonight on the Democratic side of the primary. And good luck the rest of the night. And hopefully we'll be speaking with you a little bit later, and you may end up being in that runoff, in fact, if that happens.
Thanks so much.
All right, our Michael Gibson with that report there, and you can see Jay Clayburgh is leading this.
It's tight so far. That's Sandra Grace Martinez with 29%, and then right behind that, Ginny Schum with 23, and then Michael Lang at 18.
You know, and I am glad that he asked the question, you know, if there was any connection, the Clayburgh last name connection, because I'm sure other folks are wondering,
and
confirming that in fact there is. As you mentioned, or as you can see right there, of course, running for Land Commissioner, position currently held by George P. Bush, who, as we know, running for Texas Attorney General, and another tight race, well, between him and Eva Guzman at least, to potentially face off. But we want to toss things over right now to Dr. Bill Crist. He's joining us now, just with reaction from that interview you heard from with Michael Gibson.
Yeah, that's actually a fascinating race because since Bush has vacated the position, it is a little bit of a free-for-all, and Clayburgh could end up being a rock star. I mean, there's no reason why he couldn't become just as much a face of the Democratic Party in Texas as Beto O'Rourke. You know, he's got the family name that is the same name as the county that he's from. He is a part of the King Ranch family, so he's able to weave together these themes of conservation and environmentalism in a way that is not as threatening to middle-of-the-road or conservative voters as might otherwise be the case, because all hunters and fishermen know that conservation of our natural resources and of our environment is incredibly important and crucial to being able to continue to harvest animals and plants for human consumption, which is what hunters and fishermen do. So he's got a great political name, and he's in a race where he probably will not have to take positions on hot button issues that often alienate rural voters, for example, and older male Anglo voters in Texas, traditional Texas voters. And so he may very well be able to be that kind of stars align special candidate where, you know, finally the Democrats break through and at least win one statewide election, which they have not done in a very long time. I think it's been at least it's been over 20 years since the Democrats won a statewide election.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, definitely another interesting race there,
Very
right?
interesting.
Dr. Crist, thank you so much. Hey, we want to toss over to some video right now. We were trying to get it up a little earlier. That of Beto O'Rourke's watch party happening right now in the Fort Worth, so up in the North Texas region. So let's go ahead and take a look at that now.
On that night, November 8th of 2022, you want to feel completely exhausted. Like you've done everything you could have done within your power to win this race. Nothing but nothing left on the field. That beer is going to taste so much more refreshing. That victory is going to be all the sweeter for it. And we are going to celebrate like Texas has never celebrated before. Are you ready for this? I am ready to do this with you. We are going to get the big things done for Texas again. Fort Worth, thank you for turning out for us tonight. Thank you for signing up. Thank you for being part of this victory. And I look forward to running this with you and winning it for you. We'll see you soon. Adios y nos vemos. Gracias, Fort Worth.
There's Beto O'Rourke with 92%, now the official Democratic candidate in the race for governor.
Yeah, and again, that was a look at his watch party from Fort Worth. I guess that was the tail end of it. pretty
Sure.
lively crowd there. Of course, this all as we continue to await Governor Abbott at the Texas State Aquarium. That's where Mike Gillespie has been hanging out, patiently waiting for the governor to arrive there. So once that happens, we will for sure take you out there live. So we're just waiting for the call on that. But let's go back to Bill Chris really quick. You got to hear a little bit from Beto's watch party there. Any immediate takeaways from what we just saw?
You know, not really. I think I don't think there are too many voters in Texas who don't already have an opinion about Beto O'Rourke. And that's a problem if you're running 7 to 9 points behind in polling that matches you up with a two-term incumbent governor with a substantial war chest. I think the Democrats, it's almost like they need to fight a guerrilla war in Texas and try to get elections won in these down ballot races like Jay Clayburgh for land commissioner, maybe somebody who's running for railroad commission. I know the Democrats were licking their chops for quite a while about the attorney general's race, and I think a lot of Democrats were hoping that Paxton would win that primary without a runoff, or maybe at least win the runoff. And then the expectation was that Joe Jaworski, who has a famous political name, would get the Democratic nomination for Attorney General and be able to go after Paxton in the same way that his predecessor, Leon Jaworski, went after President Nixon as a result of Watergate. But many a slip between cup and lip, because Jaworski appears to be losing the Democratic primary for Attorney General to Rochelle Garza. Now, she's not gotten enough votes to evade a primary runoff with Jaworski. So that scenario is still in play. If Jaworski can win that runoff, and if indeed Paxton survives in his runoff and defeats either Bush or Guzman, whoever it is that runs against him, that's going to be a really interesting race. The Jay Clayburgh race is a race where, for land commissioner, if he wins his runoff, he'd be an appealing candidate that the Democrats might be able to put across the finish line. Jaworski, similarly, for Attorney General, is a candidate they might be able to put across the finish line because of how damaged Paxton is, and he will continue to be damaged in the runoff against whether it's Bush or Guzman. As I say, that's going to be an old-fashioned Texas political knife fight. There's going to be blood on the carpet there, and whoever comes out of that and survives alive, whether it's Paxton, Guzman, or Bush, whoever that is going to be damaged.
No doubt. Another race that we are keeping a very close eye on is the race for Texas Senator for our district. And right now, one of the candidates is with our Bill Churchwell, standing by live at the Texas State Aquarium. Bill?
Hey there, yeah, as you can see, his shirt says Adam Hinojosa for Texas State Senate District 27. Now, school me on District 27.
Well, District 27 is newly drawn from the Rio Grande Valley. It's a seat held by Eddie Lucio for the past 30 years. It's drawn into our area, so now Nueces County has two state Senate districts, District 20 and District 27.
Very good. And so what made you want to run for this position?
Well, I've lived in this community for 35 years. I was born in the Rio Grande Valley. My brothers and I own several small businesses here in town. It's an opportunity to get a state Senate representation from right here in Corpus Christi. I think it's a critical time in our country and our state that we have good people running and doing good work. I think a businessman can run government a lot better than a politician can.
And we're starting to see the crowd develop right here behind us. Of course, everyone is here for Governor Greg Abbott tonight, as are you. What are you hoping to hear from the governor tonight?
Well, a lot of the same that I've heard throughout the campaign trail. He's doing great to step up and help secure our border, public safety, education. All of those are the same type of issues that I'm running on as well. So I look forward to working with the governor.
And at last check, your numbers are looking good.
Yes, sir. Right now we're up. I'm hoping to stave off a runoff. Right now it's looking good, but God willing, we'll see how as the numbers keep coming in today.
Adam, thank you so much for your time. It's always good to see you.
Thank you.
That is the very latest here live Bill Churchwell, now back to you.
All right,
and
Bill.
Adam is running against Morgan Lamantia, who
Right.
is a front runner right now at this point for the Democratic side. We will, of course, be reaching out to her and her camp to see if she'd be willing to talk to us tonight on this very important night.
As we've been seeing, lots of folks where Bill is, and of course Mike's still waiting on the governor to make his appearance, so we'll be checking back in with them throughout the night as more folks come up. But right now we're going to take another short break. We'll be right back.
At WellMed, we've spent over 30 years doing everything humanly possible to care for and protect our senior citizens. If you're on Medicare and have diabetes, cardiovascular disorder, or heart disease, WellMed accepts a Medicare Advantage plan you can enroll in all year. To learn more about WellMed and how we can help you be a healthier you, call 888-781-9355 or go to wellmedhealthcare.com.
J&B Pavelka, we keep your business rolling. We sell and service all types of trucks and trailers, pre-owned and brand new, with top-notch brands like Aspen, Dunan, Globe, Monac, CPS, Wilson, and much more. Browse our stocked inventory full of high-quality equipment and receive reliable service and repairs and staff members eager to help, all at affordable prices. You'll find everything you need in a truck or trailer with J&B Pavelka. We're here to service your equipment. Stop by our Robstown or Houston locations today.
Since 1941, Radiology Associates has offered the most advanced diagnostic imaging available for patients and their physicians in the Coastal Bend. Our subspecialized team of experienced radiologists manage exams and interpret results while working directly with your physician. With most exams scheduled the same or next day, you can be sure our team will provide a fast turnaround while making sure you are as comfortable as possible. Call today to schedule your appointment at one of our 5 convenient locations. Radiology Associates. The choice is clear.
You're watching the South Texas News Leader. This is continuing election coverage from 3 News, sponsored by the Herman & Herman Law Firm, J&B Pavelka Truck and Trailer Sales, WellMed Medical Group, and Radiology Associates.
Hey there, welcome back. Of course, in this Texas primary election night, we are talking about all of the big statewide races, but also important to talk about some of the things that we're seeing close to home.
That's right, our local races here. And in this case, we're talking about Aransas County Judge, well, the person who is now the front runner, and he looks like he's the clear winner,
Yeah,
Ray Garza.
Yeah, those are the official results there. Ray Garza with 53% of the votes over Burt Mills, who it was relatively close with 47% of the vote. But leading into tonight, our Michael Gibson was able to secure an interview with Ray Garza, who again is Aransas County, the Aransas County judge. So let's go ahead and go to that interview.
Okay, Ray Garza is joining us. Thank you very much for being here tonight on election night. Looks like you're out and about. You know, you're challenging Burt Mills, the Aransas County judge, longtime incumbent. Early voting results came in, and you're actually ahead by a few votes. What's going through your mind right now?
I'm just so thankful the people have helped me. I mean, really good campaign. Regardless of what the final tally is at the end of the night, I'm just so proud of this campaign and the people that, you know, my biggest strength is building consensus.
You know, you were on the school board.
I'm still
on the school board. Yes. How do you think that played into you running for county judge and feeling like you could transfer some of that knowledge and some of that ability to being the county judge?
I think it played a lot. You know, years I'm still kind of school board. Been about almost 4 years, but the last 2 years I was president, and I learned a lot in that position. The most thing I learned is playing as a team, playing well with others, building consensus, and keeping the ultimate goal is, you know, do what's best for kids. And I'm going to transition into the county and do what's best for the citizens of Aransas County by operating in a teamwork environment and a transparent environment.
What were you hoping to try to do differently than the judge has been doing over the past few years?
Work more closely with the other entities in this small county. Be a little more open and transparent, and set different. I think our priorities would be different, and I want to probably set different priorities. What's important to what I think, on the campaign trail, there's a lot of people here that are either underrepresented or not even represented by their government, and some things.
Okay, that was Ray Garza. He is in a neck-and-neck race right now with the longtime incumbent over in Aransas County, the county judge, Burt Mills. Wish the best of luck to you the rest of the evening. I know this has got to be nerve-wracking, and hope you'll have some fingernails left at the end of the night.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, our Michael Gibson, of course, there with that interview. Obviously, also happening tonight, the State of the Union address, the president's first in office. So if we can go ahead and take a live feed from ABC right now, we'll go ahead and toss to that.
Ghost guns that you can buy online, assemble at home.
Okay, Bill.
No serial numbers, can't be traced. I asked Congress to pass proven measures to reduce gun violence. Pass universal background checks. Why should anyone on the terrorist list be able to purchase a weapon? Why? Why? And folks, ban assault weapons with high-capacity magazines that hold up to 100 rounds. You think the deer are wearing Kevlar vests? Look, repeal the liability shield that makes gun manufacturers the only industry in America that can't be sued. The only one. Imagine had we done that with the tobacco manufacturers. These laws don't infringe on the Second Amendment. They save lives. The most fundamental right in America is the right to vote and have it counted. And look, it's under assault. In state after state, new laws have been passed, not only to suppress the vote, we've been there before, but to subvert the entire election. We can't let this happen. Tonight, I call on the Senate to pass the Freedom to Vote Act, pass the John Lewis Act, Voting Rights Act. And while you're at it,
President there discussing voting rights. Perfect timing for tonight, especially here in Texas.
Texas primary tonight.
Exactly. So I know we didn't get to listen too much into that just now, but Bill Chris standing by, of course, for us all night tonight. And just the little that we heard from there, Bill, I know you're probably going to go back and watch the whole State of the Union address later. No, we will. Exactly, going into the 10 o'clock show, or at least try to. But yeah, what are some of your takeaways from what we've that little bit that we were able to hear just now?
Well, President Biden is doing a couple of things. What he tends to do in his speeches and public pronouncements is he tends to focus on the things that a large number of Americans agree on. If you look at the Democratic Party platform and you compare it to the Republican Party platform and you analyze them as I have, what you find is that there's about half of the things in the Republican Party platform. The last time they had one, of course, the most recent election, they didn't really have a plank-by-plank platform. But if you look at the Texas Democratic platform and Republican platforms, for example, what you find is there's about half the things in each party's platform that independent voters or a large majority of all voters agree with, right? So everybody's for education. A large number of Americans, a significant majority of Americans are for reasonable, sane, limited gun control laws, like increased background checks, waiting periods, and things of this nature. And so that's why you hear Biden talking about those things, is because preventing violence in schools and passing limited, reasonable gun control measures that don't restrict people's right to own guns of all different types. These are things that are supported by a large majority of Americans. voting rights. Voting rights is something that's really not very controversial. The devil is in the details. A vast majority of Americans respond favorably if you poll them about whether or not every person who is eligible to vote should be able to vote and their vote should count. So what Biden is trying to do is rally the Democratic Party behind him. The Democratic Party still has a very slim majority in both houses of Congress. And he's also trying to rally the country. He's trying to get people who are not politically engaged, who are either independent voters or seldom vote at all, trying to get them to hear his message, which is an inclusive message. And he's part of that message is foreign policy and the way in which foreign policy should end at the nation's shores. Partisanship, historically in the United States, partisanship really plays no role in American foreign policy and in the defense of this nation. And so the portion of Biden's speech that he started with early on that dealt with Ukraine is something we didn't hear in that clip. But he started in the State of the Union address talking about American foreign policy and America's stature in the world and a condemnation of all aggression by tyrants, and in particular, the aggression against Ukraine by the tyrant Vladimir Putin.
All right, Dr. Bilquist, thanks a lot for that. As we approach the 9 o'clock hour, 2 hours after the polls have closed, still no word of Governor Abbott showing up at his own party over at the Texas State Aquarium, where we've got our Mike Gillespie standing by live. He's been patiently waiting for the governor to show up. Any word yet, Mike?
Well, no, but a lot of people practicing a whole lot of patience out here, waiting for the governor to show up to his own party. We expect that's going to happen, and a lot of his supporters have already gathered here outside. We're still high up on our perch looking down at everything. We also discovered there's another use for these masks. They'll keep your face warm, because I got to tell you, that breeze out here gets pretty stiff. But beyond that, a beautiful venue tonight for the governor to basically give his victory speech here in the primaries and begin to look ahead. You know, it has been a long time since a Democrat has had that top job here in Texas. 1991 was the last time. That was Governor Ann Richards. Before that, you know, there were Democrats who pretty much won that going back to the earliest days of statehood here. Bill Clements had a good run in the 80s, and then, of course, George W. Bush and Rick Perry. And tonight, Governor Abbott he's passed the first hurdle in trying to get that third term. If he does do that, come November, as he faces off against challenger Beto O'Rourke, he'll be, I think, only the fifth Republican governor here to get that third term. And so that will be quite an accomplishment for him. But again, tonight, we're waiting for the governor to come out to talk about those things and to begin to look ahead as we expect him to do. And really, this gives him a chance just to thank a bunch of his supporters who are here tonight, most of them staying inside and still staying warm right now. We expect them to come out when we get word that the governor is going to be speaking. But we're going to stay here and we're going to keep an eye on it. And when the governor does come out and address the crowd, of course, we're going to bring that to you as best we can in some form or another. So we hope that you'll stay with us here on the air and tonight online. Reporting live from the Texas State Aquarium, Mike Gillespie, back to you.
All right, Mike, thank you so much. Again, like we've been saying, we know that you've been patiently waiting. A lot of folks certainly are. So the moment we get word that the governor is arriving up there to the stage, that we will toss back to him. But you know, another big race that a lot of Texans are keeping a close eye on, that for U.S. House District 27. Of course, you have the incumbent, Michael Cloud, and then also a name that, and then obviously there are some of the other names on the Republican ballot. But then on the Democratic side, a name that many folks here in the area know as well.
He's the front runner tonight.
That's right.
Maclovio Perez has got the biggest numbers tonight when it comes to the Democratic side. Dr. Bilquist is going to talk to us about that. But we've also got a message from Michael Cloud, who actually has a report. We have a report coming up from North Texas, or from Victoria,
From Victoria. He did an interview with our Michael Gibson earlier this evening. Let's go ahead and listen into that now.
Well, yeah, the numbers are still coming in, but looking good so far. And yeah, certainly exciting and honored and humbled, you know, especially after serving, for a few years, to continue to maintain the trust of the people here in the Coastal Bend is, it's a big honor. It's a responsibility I don't take lightly.
Now, assuming the numbers hold and you go on to win this primary, you're gonna be facing, it looks like in the general election, a fairly well-known weatherman in our area, Maclovio Perez. How does your strategy change, if any, going up against Perez?
Well, I can say from the day I was elected, I said, our next campaign is going to be doing our best to do the job. And we've majored in doing the job day in and day out. And then when it comes to campaigns, it's just doing our best to make sure people know what we've been working on. And so that's what we'll be doing, continuing to get back to work for the people of the 27th District of Texas and doing what we can to communicate well on it.
Well, we appreciate your time, Congressman. And again, if the numbers hold, it looks like that you will have won handily and are ready to head to that general election in November.
Well, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Honored to serve and to keep doing the work. And, I just, really just want to thank the people of Texas 27th for the honor of continuing to serve and keep us in our prayers as we continue. Obviously, we're facing many challenges as a nation right now, and we will continue to work toward restoring America's promise for the American people.
And that was a report or an interview by our Michael Gibson with, of course, incumbent Michael Cloud. So, Michael, thank you so much for that, for all the interviews that you've done for us tonight.
It's busy tonight.
Absolutely. So we want to switch things back over again to Bill Criss. You just heard that interview with Michael Cloud. Here in just a few minutes, we are hoping to get a live interview. Mariah Gallegos out at the watch party for Maclovio Perez. So we're hoping to get that live interview here here shortly. But based on what you just heard there in that interview, what are some key takeaways?
It's interesting that Michael Cloud, in order to get the congressional seat, he sort of wrested it away from the Corpus Christi Republican group by defeating Mr. Brune, who was really the favorite in the race and was supported by all of the significant funders of the Republican Party in South Texas. And it's interesting that he's been able to galvanize or organize, garner support among Nueces County Republicans that he really did not have when he first took that office. And I attribute that to his just continual cozying up to the Trumpist positions on issues in the Republican Party. He may be one of the 10 or 15 members of Congress whose voting record is most congruent with the policies of the Trump family. And I think that's accounted for his becoming much more popular among Nueces County Republicans than he was when he first took office. On the Democratic side, there are out of 435 congressional districts, political scientists like myself, historians like myself, will tell you that there are only about 20 or 25 of those districts that are actually competitive between Republicans and Democrats. And this is why the extremes of both parties have essentially taken control of our politics and why our nation is so divided. It's perhaps the chief reason, is because if you want to be a congressperson or a state representative for that matter, or a state senator, all you really have to do is win your primary, because the member of the opposing party just doesn't have much of a chance against you, because the way the districts are drawn, 95% of them are safe districts for either Democrats or Republicans. And because of that, this is what pushes both Democrats farther to the left and Republicans farther to the right, because they're afraid they're going to get challenged from the base or the most extreme and activist wing of their party. And we're seeing an example of that throughout Texas's congressional delegation. Another example is in the 15th congressional district, That district was represented for 8 or 10 years by Vicente Gonzalez, a veteran Democratic congressman. It was always a majority-minority district, majority Hispanic district. The most recent round of redistricting reconfigured that district in such a way that it is likely a Hispanic Republican district and a safe Republican district. And because of that, when Congressman Phil Vela retired from representing the 34th Congressional District that's centered in Brownsville, Vicente Gonzalez actually moved over and ran for that district, and it looks like he's going to win the Democratic nomination for that district. And again, it's a safe district, so he's likely to win the general election regardless of who the Republican candidate is. And I think people don't really know or should know more about how it is that the drawing of these congressional districts makes it almost inevitable that the extreme wings of both parties will take control of those parties. And you can see here, Vicente Gonzalez was 67% of the vote. He's an incumbent congressperson. He didn't represent District 34 before, but he's going to represent District 34 now. In District 27, which is the district that includes Corpus Christi and goes all the way up past Victoria to the north, Cloud is the incumbent. He's definitely going to have the edge. That's a 56 or 57 R district, we call it, which means that in most elections you can count on 55 to 57% of the vote being Republican. On the Democratic side, the nominee without a runoff is going to be Maclovio Perez. And of course, Mac Perez, as Joe Gazin used to call, my friend Joe Gazin used to call him occasionally, Maclovio Perez, weatherman, newscaster for many, many years here at Channel 3, also at other stations. He went up to San Antonio for a while, and he's a known personality, but he's going to be fighting a significant headwind because all other things being equal, the district that he is running in, District 27, number one's got an incumbent that he's running against that's going to be extremely well financed and very well organized. And number two, he's running against a Republican in a substantially Republican district.
And
all of the things
perfect timing there, Bill. You mentioned Maclovio, and we just want to go. We do have him now live. Mariah Gallegos is at his watch party, I believe downtown or at the Post. There she is, standing by live with Maclovio Perez. Hey there, Mariah.
Hey, Leslie and Rudy and Bill Chris there. Yes, he was just brushing us up on all of the information in this race that you are in. And right now, results are in your favor. How are you feeling about that?
Feeling really good. I always knew that Nueces County would be good for me, and I appreciate all the voters that turned out. For the past month and a half, I've been driving around the northern end of District 27. I mean, I've been to Gonzales, I've been to Luling, Lockhart, Bastrop, all the way to Victoria. I've even been in Port Lavaca, so that's all part of District 27 as we know it now. And it's important for them to understand that we and they are in the same boat. So now, with a little luck, things hold out well. The numbers are strong, and we won't have a runoff, and we'll go right into the general election next summertime. So it's going to get interesting by then.
Big emphasis on not only meeting those people over the screens, but in person there, then making that appearance in person.
And for me, it's the same thing. When I was on television, you go out, people recognize you, you say hello. Well, same thing here. It's hey, hi, nice to meet you. I'm running for office. The best way to politic in Victoria? Go to a Mexican restaurant for breakfast and sit there and talk to everybody. And I met so many cool people. I met a bunch of cowboys, Democrats up in Bastrop County. And so it's been fun for me. I mean, this is not work. I'm just blessed that the folks in Nueces, thank you for coming through for me. And I look forward to representing you next summer in the generals, and hopefully on into the Washington thing. To me, we need somebody who's more concerned about what's happening in our neighborhood than what politics are going on in Washington, D.C. Over there, it's almost another world. Maybe I'm just naive, but I want to go and do something good for the people. Too often they leave, they go to Congress, and you never see them again. I'm not that kind of guy. I mean, I'm of the soil, of the people. I've always been like that, and I always plan to be.
Now, you said there of the soil, and I know one of your key fundamentals as a part of your campaigning was clean environment, clean energy. Absolutely. That's one of the things that you're hoping to push through if you make it in office. Do you think that your fundamentals that you stood on were something that put you ahead of your other nominees there in the Democratic Party?
I think so, because people now are seeing effects of what we've been talking about for 30 years, okay? I studied environmental science in the 70s, and that's when I began on this thing. Having worked on the West Coast, I know what pollution looks like. And if you're from Houston, well, you know what pollution looks like. All that could be fixed in a matter of months if we tried. It's just that vested interests don't want to change. They don't want to this, they don't want to that. But you know what? It's getting to the point where our kids are not having clean air. We can't go to the beach because there's too much plastic on the beaches. All these things, we realize this is our home. We've got to take care of it. You know, in your room, you have to go pick up your stuff. You can't leave it all over the place. And so it's like that. I mean, I tell people, you know, when you are in your garage, you turn the car on and, you know, it's a bad smell. Well, what happens when you open the garage door? It goes into my neighborhood. So all of us who drive cars, I'm glad that now there's a big transition coming into electric vehicles, but 70% of our emissions, our pollution problem, comes from autos, and we just need to find a better way. Otherwise, who knows how long we have to be here on this planet.
And I'll say, you know, one of those is a tricky kind of battle to fight, right? The clean energy, the clean environment, and living here in the coastal bend. You know, I know this is a place that you call home. This is a place that you love, and you were saying you want to make sure that you keep these people prioritized, so
Absolutely.
to say. But this is actually a groundwork where it's a tricky area to kind of fight that battle. You know, we have the Port of Corpus Christi brings in lots of numbers there for them. We have a lot of refineries, home to a lot of refinery workers, a lot of ironmen. I mean, that is what a lot of people think of when they think of the coastal bend. And another side to that is we have all of our windmill farms as well. I mean, you know, we are on the cusp of that transition, but how do you plan to kind of be in the middle of that and address these concerns?
Okay. 50% of the people here live off the water. The other 50% live off of heavy industry. Which one's more important? Both. And so we need to figure out a way to coexist. I'm not talking about shutting anything down. I want to work with business. All I can tell you is that an environmental guy, I know what a smokestack does. I know what kind of vapors are coming out. We can clean these. There are new technologies that we can fix. This is not going to be a huge change. It's kind of like when we added the catalytic converter to our cars, people complained, and now it works fine. And guess what? There's no more lead in the atmosphere, and there's no amount of lead that's good for you. Now, I want to work with heavy industry. We need them. They're crucial. They're major employers. They're the lifeblood of the coastal bend. But if we wind up polluting the waters where the bays have no fish anymore, then that's the other half of our equation that we are going to have to deal with. Large cities, you know, I lived in Los Angeles 18 years, and I saw pollution. Believe me, I reported it every day, and I saw it go from really bad to not so bad. In 20 years, we were able to cut the emissions off the autos, cut the emissions off of heavy industry. Not that we shut them down, just say, hey, look, do it a little bit differently so that we can all get along and live, you know. I mean, one of the stories I did 100 years ago is we had a steel mill here, and the people in the next county, there was 300,000 people with asthma because of the steel mill. So I'm going, hey, you know, this is a problem. If your business plan includes throwing your residue into the river, we have a problem.
Definitely. All right, good conversations there. I'm sure we could go on and on about that.
Sure.
We got to take it back to them in studio. Thank you so much, Maclovio Perez, tonight here at his watch party at the Post. Going to send it back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Mariah. Now, the question here tonight is, we heard a great commentary from Maclovio Perez, now apparently the person who's going to be running against Michael Cloud. But we go to Dr. Chris again to talk about that momentum and whether the 27th district, the congressional district, has been gerrymandered to a way where it makes it almost impossible for a Democratic candidate to win. Your thoughts?
Well, nothing's impossible. As I said earlier tonight, international events, world events, national events, statewide events can make a huge difference in the way that people vote. Nobody expected Blake Farenthold to get elected congressman in 2010. But he was elected congressman, and he defeated a 28-year incumbent in a then Democratic district, Solomon Ortiz. And Congressman Ortiz was very charismatic. He had a very strong support, a very strong base of support, and he lost. So it can happen. But Maclovio Perez is fighting significant headwinds. You can see there, excellent interview by our reporter pressing Maclovio on some of these environmental issues that he is pushing. You know, Maclovio Perez, he's very experienced in front of the camera. He's a very eloquent speaker. He's charismatic, as most television personalities are. So you certainly can't say it's a foregone conclusion what's going to happen. You can just say that there are significant headwinds that he or any other Democratic candidate would be fighting in the 27th Congressional District the way it's currently drawn.
It's certainly an interesting race to be watching. Bill, thank you so much for your commentary and analysis. Helpful and incredibly insightful and just incredible reporting.
Exactly, and as he said, as Dr. Chris said, all this, we will find out how it works out in November.
Right, so a lot of time between now and then, but we're going to keep a close eye. But for right now, we are going to take a quick break. We will be right back.
At WellMed, we've spent over 30 years doing everything humanly possible to care for and protect our senior citizens. If you're on Medicare and have diabetes, cardiovascular disorder, or heart disease, WellMed accepts a Medicare Advantage plan you can enroll in all year. To learn more about WellMed and how we can help you be a healthier you, call 888-781-9355 or go to wellmedhealthcare.com.
J&B Pavelka, we keep your business rolling. We sell and service all types of trucks and trailers, pre-owned and brand new, with top-notch brands like Aspen, Dunan, Globe, Monac, CPS, Wilson, and much more. Browse our stocked inventory full of high-quality equipment and receive reliable service and repairs, and staff members eager to help, all at affordable prices. You'll find everything you need in a truck or trailer with J&B Pavelka. We're here to service your equipment. Stop by our Robstown or Houston locations today.
Since 1941, Radiology Associates has offered the most advanced diagnostic imaging available for patients and their physicians in the Coastal Bend. Our subspecialized team of experienced radiologists manage exams and interpret results while working directly with your physician. With most exams scheduled the same or next day, you can be sure our team will provide a fast turnaround while making sure you are as comfortable as possible. Call today to schedule your appointment at one of our 5 convenient locations. Radiology Associates. The choice is clear.
I went to other firms. They didn't help me. I came to Armin & Harmon. The young lady that helped us was on her game, and we had our money in our hands before you knew it. You know, where other attorneys didn't help you, Herman & Harmon said, come on in, we got you. And let's get one thing straight. Herman & Harmon's not scared of anybody. Trust me. They went after him, and they got him quickly.
This is continuing election coverage from 3 News. Streaming 3 News election coverage is sponsored by the Herman & Herman Law Firm, J&B Pavelka Truck and Trailer Sales, WellMed Medical Group, and Radiology Associates.
28th. All right, we are now, that's our producer talking to us in our ear. We just heard from the 27th Congressional District race, both candidates, or both Michael Cloud and Maclovio Perez. And now we've got the 28th District race for Congress, Jessica Cisneros. We've got an interview with her now we'd like to share with you.
It was a really special morning because I went to go vote with my mom and my sister. And it was my sister's first time voting. She recently became a citizen, so this was her first time that she was eligible to vote. So I got to be there with her. And it was just a really special moment because she was the reason why my parents had to move to this country in the 80s to get healthcare for her. And, you know, it was kind of a full circle moment, I think, for my parents, for my mom specifically, to be there with both of us.
Is candidate Jessica Cisneros, the candidate for the 28th Congressional District.
And as you can see, leading this race here with 51% of the votes, the incumbent, of course, Henry Cuellar, with 45%.
That's right. Henry Cuellar having his legal problems. He had the FBI raid not only his office, but also his home. We've got some video that we'd like to share with you, along with an interview with the incumbent, Henry Cuellar.
I'm fully cooperating with law enforcement and committed to ensuring that justice and the law is upheld. There is an ongoing investigation that will show that there was no wrongdoing on my part.
That is Henry Cuellar talking just outside his home in Laredo. This
probably about a month ago.
About a month ago, after the FBI, as you can see, that's video of the FBI raiding his offices in Laredo and his home also in Laredo. That is his home, by the way, right there.
Yeah, and we just saw the results there with Jessica Cisneros again leading with 51%. Let's go ahead and go now to Dr. Bill Chris joining us now to kind of talk about this race. And you have to assume at this point, you know, we were looking at the video, we know what's been going on with, you know, the FBI probe and Henry Cuellar. Is that what we're seeing here with the results, the impacts of that?
That's part of what we're seeing, but that's not all of what we're seeing. I go back to what I was saying before about it being very difficult to be a moderate Democrat or moderate Republican. I'm not even sure there is such a thing anymore. Cuellar was already a target of progressive Democrats and had been a target for years because in Congress, if you look at his voting record, and it's well known that he was among the so-called blue dog Democrats. He was among the moderate or more conservative Democrats that are from southern states, for example, some from the Midwest, epitomized by people like Senator Joe Manchin or Kristen Sinema from Arizona, Joe Manchin from West Virginia. And so he's been a target of the progressive wing of the Democratic Party even before he was under a cloud of FBI investigation. So this is, as far as I'm concerned, this is additional evidence for my thesis that it's just it's very difficult to get. The deck is always going to be stacked against you if you if you do not satisfy the base of your party.
Very interesting, and it's happening right now. And it was, am I correct here in saying that the person who was beating out Henry Cuellar is someone who ran against him before? Is that correct?
I'm not sure about that. I don't know what the dynamics are in Laredo. I'm not. It's just it's outside my field of vision in terms of local politics. But I do know that this is not the first time he's run in a contested primary.
Very, very close last time that he had an opponent, and I believe it was Jessica Cisneros, but we'll check into that as well.
Yeah, plenty of races that we are keeping a close eye on, and I know some of those results have been finalized. Some of them still coming in as we're on the air. Want to see if we can get any full screens popped up of any other races that we are watching at this moment. Let's see. Okay, that for Lieutenant Governor, that one has been called. Of course, the incumbent Dan Patrick there with 78% of the votes. Not a huge surprise with this one
not at
either.
All. Not at all. The opponent's trailing. And then Attorney General Rochelle Garza coming in at 42%. Joe Jaworski with 22%, Lee Merritt with 18%, and Mike Fields at 13%.
Yeah, the Democratic candidates.
Democratic candidates.
Let's see, what else do we have? And then, of course, the Republican, Ken Paxton, the incumbent, leading with 42%. The last time, actually, that we looked at this graphic, it had showed Eva Guzman ahead of George P. Bush. She had 21 over him with 20, as you just saw right there. That has flip-flopped, and that's kind of been the theme of tonight as well. Maclovio Perez, as we just interviewed just moments ago, leading the Democratic ticket here with 62% of the votes for the U.S. House District 27 race there.
And again, these are numbers that are coming in from our area, from Nueces County. Michael Cloud with 73%, clearly the guy who's getting the nod to once again, and he'll be running against Maclovio Perez. In the U.S. House District 15, it's Ruben Ramirez with 29%, still very close against John Villarreal Rigney.
And then we are also looking at and then, of course, this is the Republican side. Monica de la Cruz leading here with 57% of the votes for House District 15.
And then U.S. House District 28, Jessica Cisneros, as we mentioned, 49%, narrowing there at 46% over Henry Cuellar, the incumbent.
That's right. So, of course, the statewide race is a big topic of tonight. But just a reminder that on our website, KIII-TV.com, we have other numbers coming in from the surrounding area. We're talking about some races out of Aransas County. We're also getting some numbers coming into out of San Patricio County as well. So we are updating all of those for you online at our website.
And we'll have more numbers for you tonight on 3 News at 10 o'clock. Until then, we'll see you in a bit.
J&B Pavelka, we keep your business rolling. We sell and service all types of trucks and trailers, pre-owned and brand new, with top-notch brands like Aspen, Dunan, Globe, Manac, CPS, Wilson, and much more. Browse our stocked inventory full of high-quality equipment and receive reliable service and repairs, and staff members eager to help, all at affordable prices. You'll find everything you need in a truck or trailer with J&B Pavelka. We're here to service your equipment. Stop by our Robstown or Houston locations today.
Since 1941, Radiology Associates has offered the most advanced diagnostic imaging available for patients and their physicians in the Coastal Bend. Our subspecialized team of experienced radiologists manage exams and interpret results while working directly with your physician. With most exams scheduled the same or next day, you can be sure our team will provide a fast turnaround while making sure you are as comfortable as possible. Call today to schedule your appointment at one of our 5 convenient locations. Radiology Associates. The choice is clear.
At WellMed, we've spent over 30 years doing everything humanly possible to care for and protect our senior citizens. If you're on Medicare and have diabetes, cardiovascular disorder, or heart disease, WellMed accepts a Medicare Advantage plan you can enroll in all year. To learn more about WellMed and how we can help you be a healthier you, call 888-781-9355 or go to wellmedhealthcare.com.
You're watching the South Texas News Leader. This is continuing election coverage from 3 News, sponsored by the Herman & Herman Law Firm, J&B Pavelka Truck and Trailer Sales, WellMed Medical Group, and Radiology Associates.